Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. I used some of the designer series paper that is called, the paper is called Joyous Noel Specialty Designer Series paper, but I used it not for a holiday card today, but for a sympathy card. And I love, love, love the combination of Blackberry, Bliss, and Gray Granite. And there is this beautiful paper in the Joyous Noel that is this pretty paper with the copper accents on it. And I just decided that I liked that so much, and I was just going to put it together with the Blackberry Bliss and make a sympathy card that is more of a fall and winter kind of sympathy card. So let me tell you what we need to make this. And I didn't show you the inside. On the inside, I wanted to keep it really simple, but I wanted impact. So I cut a piece of the designer series paper and just put it all along the inside. Plenty of room to write your sympathy words there on the inside. So what we need to do this, I have a piece of gray granite that is a regular cardstock base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then I have a layering piece for the front in Blackberry Bliss that is 5 by 4 and 5 1/4 by 4. Then I have a piece of this absolutely delicious designer series paper that is 3 3/4 by 5, and these three will nest on one another. Then I needed a piece to stamp my trees here, and this piece is 3 inches by 2 1/2. Then my copper backing piece is 3 1/8 by 2 5/8. Then I have my long piece. It is 8 inches long by 1 inch, scored at 2 inches right in the middle to span the center of the card. Then I am using this ribbon, and it comes in a 2-pack, Coastal Cabana and Very Vanilla. And the reason I use this is because it's rimmed in copper, and so couldn't match more perfectly with what we're doing. And I just used the Very Vanilla ribbon and I colored it. Now on this one, I colored it, I was trying to use blends, and so I colored it with my, because we don't have a Blackberry Bliss blend, so I colored this one in dark rich raspberry, and it's a little off, but not by much. And I thought it was complementary. So on this one, I've experimented here, and I colored this piece with a using my Blackberry Bliss marker and set it aside to dry, and it came out very dark. But I'm going to make this one up with the darker, and this I'll leave this one, and then you can decide which one you like better for putting this card together. Then we need a small piece of gray granite for our scrap, for our sympathy message, and there's one other little piece of copper, and I don't know where it's gotten to, but it is a 1/2 inch, there it is. It is a 1/2 inch by 2 inches. In fact, this is not the right one, but we can snip this off at 2 inches to create a partial border on my sentiment. Okay, so let's just get started here. And I'm going to move my pieces out of the way and leave my card here so we can keep an eye on it. And I'm going to start with my stamping. And I'm going to start with my stamping of my trees. Where did my little piece go? That is always astonishing to me. You're sitting here and you haven't moved and you've just shown it and now it's gone. I don't know what happens to these things. Okay, so we're going to do our stamping, and we're going to be stamping on this little piece and this piece of scrap. So the stamp sets that I'm using Winter Woods and these trees right here, and then I'm using With Sympathy from the Flourishing Phrases stamp set. So need a little piece of scratch paper here, and these are all red rubber, so they don't need a cushion. And I've got my Blackberry Bliss and my gray granite ink here to do my stamping. And actually, I think I just need the Blackberry Bliss. I'm not sure, because I decided to use my marker on the tree bases here instead of try to use the stamp pad to mark those. So I'm going to get those tree stems here with my marker, and I'll probably have to go over those again as soon as I get my ink on my trees. And then I'm going to carefully here put the ink on my trees. It's kind of a big stamp, so this is one where we take the stamp pad to the image, and I want to make sure I get plenty of ink on those trees. And then I'm going to use my marker again to, because I think I got a little bit of that Blackberry Bliss on those stems. I think I'll start that over. You want to make sure that when you do this and you're adding to this, that if you clean off with a baby wipe, sometimes if your baby wipe isn't real fresh or it's starting to be a little used, it leaves little fuzzies on your stamp, and boy, that isn't very pleasant at all. So just be careful and make sure it's really wet and isn't leaving any fuzz pieces on your stamp set. Okay, and there we go. Looks like I got a little interruption here, and so I lost a little video. Where I left you all was I was just getting ready to stamp my trees, and I was using the stamp and the Blackberry Bliss ink on the top of the trees, and then I used my marker here on the bottom of the tree branches, or the trunks, I guess, of the trees, and got this stamp. And I think that's just fine. It would be nice if it were a little darker, but it's just fine. And this is it's not much different than the one I have here. And then I went ahead and mounted it on my layering piece, which was copper, which leaves me a little 1/8 of an inch border all the way around my stamped piece. And I stamped my With Sympathy, and then put my little piece of copper just to kind of have a little copper embellishment on this. And so that's going to go here. In fact, on this one, I think I'm going to move it over. The only other thing I've done is put on my ribbon on this piece, and I colored it. And I went ahead and finished coloring these pieces in using my Blackberry Bliss marker versus this one, which I did with my Rich Razzleberry blend. And you can see the raspberry is a little lighter and a little more red. I hope you can see the difference there. And the Blackberry Bliss marker is very dark, almost looks black. So you'd have to decide for yourself which one you liked better. I think they both look just fine. And I did move this down is if I put these side by side, you can see I did move the whole ribbon assembly down about 1/4 of an inch so as not to crowd this upper piece. And that's as far as I got when I realized that my camera was off. So we'll pick right back up here. I did put this piece in the center, and what I did was I put snail on both sides, and then I put the piece standing up. If this were the piece and it were scored, I had snail all on the bottom, and I placed this in here, kept these straight, put one side down so that it was good and straight, and then closed the card on the other side and put that in place. It's really hard to get it right in the center. And so it's just one of those things that I think if you bend it forward and back a little bit, what it does is it kind of relaxes into place there. And you don't want to do too much with it because you don't want your paper to tear. Okay, now I think I'm completely caught up. So I've got this ribbon put on here. This is going to go on with dimensionals. Okay, there. I think that is a little less crowded on the top, and there's plenty of room for that sentiment on the bottom, and I get a little bit more of this pretty paper showing around the top, which was kind of what I was after. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is take this ribbon and make a simple bow. Now, you've watched lots of people make bows by making the bunny ears and then tying them. I find that somewhat restrictive. I like to just make a loop, and then using this ribbon, go around the back of this loop, over my thumb, around the back of this loop, make a loop here, and just slide it through this one, and then pull. And I find that it makes a pretty consistent bow every time, and the advantage of doing it this way is that you get a really good knot on the front, and both of your tails are heading in the same direction no matter what. And so there is a nice bow, and I have way more ribbon than I needed here, but I didn't leave it on the roll because I needed to cut it. I needed to color it. So there is my bow ready to go on my project, and I used a little glue dot. We'll put a glue dot folded over on itself here. Let me tear this off so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to roll this glue dot over on itself and stick it on the back of the knot of my ribbon, put that into place, and set it down. Now, I think that that is enough because this is such a tiny ribbon that I don't think it needs anything more than that to secure it in place. All right. The next thing I did to finish the front of the card here, or the front of this panel, is that I did put some copper sequins in place on my card, and I just put 3 of them. I put one of them right here on the top of my sentiment. See if I can get my, here we go. I put one right here. I put one, in this case I'm going to put it on this side of my trees. Of course, that is just the way it goes when you don't want a lot of glue on there. So I'm going to use the spatula on my tool here and see if I can't get this glue off of here. And my wipe. And I'm going to let that dry so I see if I can erase it. And so now I'm going to go back and see if I can grab a sequin and put it in place right down here on the bottom. And then I was going to put one, it looks like I'm probably best off to put one right in there to kind of cover that stuff up. So I'm going to look for a really big one. A nice big sequin there. And then I thought I would add one more smallish one. There we go. Picking up too many. Maybe one right in there. So I'm going to just put a little dab of Tombow right in there and add my last sequin right there on the tree. Okay, there we go. Of course that happens when it's on camera. It's just one of those things. And then this is ready to go onto my card here. This one ended up on the top, which is just fine, top or the bottom. And then this piece is going to go on here. And given that I've already got all of this stuff on here, what I'm going to do is put my tape runner just on the inside edge here on this piece and lay that piece on top. I suppose I could have put the other piece on here as soon as I put my ribbon on, but I didn't, so we'll just do it this way. All right, so now I'm going to put this piece in place right on the top of my card here. Looks like I need to inch that down just a hair. There we go. Put that in place, and that is our project. So I apologize for losing a little video, but I don't think you missed much. We got most of the only thing was this stamping here, and I think I explained that well enough. And so that is the project for the day. I think it's a lovely card, and it certainly doesn't have to be sympathy. That is what I needed to make this time. And so this one could say, happy birthday, thinking of you. It could say any number of things, and or just thank you, which would be a lovely thank you card for this time of year. And so that is my project today. Let's see. When you're watching this, I'll be in Orlando still, and we'll be back on Sunday. I think I'll have one more video drop on Sunday, and then the first video after I get back, I'll be sharing my swaps with you. So lots of fun things to look forward to. Hopefully I'll have some wonderful ideas and surprises to bring back from what the occasions catalog is going to be, and maybe some sneak peeks of some of that. And let's see, the prize draw for the month is the Country Lane or Country Home Suite. It's the stamp set, the designer series paper, the galvanized metal foil paper, and the chicken wire elements. And so that is the prize for the month. And you can enter that drawing by making an order on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And everything here in this, to make this card, is available on my website. And the prize for this video is a set of these two lovely copper trimmed ribbons. And so you get in that drawing by making a comment below on the video. And I thought that last one was the last one. This will be the last one of the giveaways for reaching my 10,000 subscribers. Thank each and every one of you so much. I do so appreciate both your subscribing to my video and then joining me on these tutorials, and I do really appreciate it. And so that's it for me today. I will be back soon with more cards and more projects. Bye!